All right, aloha everyone. My name is Jason Julian. Today's session will be about the digital divide and AI useful apps. So a lot of topics to cover today. Just a little background about myself. My name is Jason Julian. I am a assistive technology assistive technology specialist at the Assistive Technology Resource Centers of Hawaii, ATRC for short. It's very long. I do want to thank the Special Information Parent Network for having me today to share our resources and information with everyone. So just kind of a quick background, kind of describing what assistive technology is. So as here you can see, it says any item, piece of equipment, software program, or product system that is used to increase, maintain, or improve the functional capabilities of persons with disabilities. So it's very tech heavy, but basically what it means is just anything that can benefit an individual. It does sound very vague in general. As you can see, as we present here, it can be quite a bit of things nowadays. So computers, smartphones, on the higher tech, but it can be also low tech. So anything without a battery. So eating utensils and such, and it can be medium tech, which is anything that uses regular AA batteries, AAA batteries, and the higher tech will be your smart items. So I'll just kind of go straight into some services background about ourselves. So ATRC, our main services that we provide is going to be our lending library. And with the lending library, individuals can borrow an assistive technology for up to 2 months, and that way they can kind of be acquainted with it. We demonstrate how to use it, make sure that the user is comfortable, and that way they can use it within the settings that they'll be. So whether it be at home, community, or at work, or at school, make sure that they kind of get a feel for it before they make a purchase or make a decision, as these devices can be quite expensive sometimes, which insurance does not cover for most items. Again, kind of going back for our program, we are covered under the 21st Century Assistive Technology Act. So every state and territory in the United States has their own AT program, and we're here to support the state of Hawaii, all islands. So again, all ages, keiki to kupuna, and all disabilities. So anything and everything. All right, and moving forward here with our other programs. So device demonstrations, we do, again, consulting. So just, we don't want everyone to know, we don't expect everyone to know what's available. So again, just consult, let us know what problems they're having in what setting, and we can do an hour of free consulting and demonstration. AT exchange, this we want to let people know that we do have computers that you can donate to us, and that we'll refurbish it, wipe it clean, all the data, and we'll give it away to individuals who need it for free. So again, if you're trying to get rid of a computer, laptop, or if you know someone with a disability who needs one, they can come through us and receive a computer. All right. So going into the digital divide. So mainly what that term means is kind of the generational divide between a student and the guardian. So that's going to be the parent or even grandparent. So a lot of times we do see the biggest divide, of course, is going to be with the seniors, the grandparents or guardians. And for that generation, for the most part, they're only now getting integrated into using smart devices, computers. A lot of them did not have, smartphones. They kind of held on to the flip phone as long as they could, but now they're kind of, being introduced to smartphones and such. So just trying to help out their student or, their grandchild or child with software, because everything now, especially since COVID, has been kind of gone into being kind of online heavy and software heavy. So with that skills gap, seniors often don't have that literacy skill. They're just now being introduced to it. So a lot of times you'll see that the student knows more on how to navigate or even use a device. For training and support, uh, there's not many support programs that can help train a guardian. I would say right now in the state of Hawaii that there is, with the library system, the public library system, that they do have a very beginner level um, computer classes available for guardians or seniors. But again, it's not going to be integrated into like the education software, and it does have that learning curve for individuals to be getting used to using a keyboard and mouse, or even using their fingers as gestures on the smart screen. So there's a lot of problems there. But I don't really just want to focus on the seniors, because technology is always growing and changing, especially right now we're talking about AI. And even for my generation, millennials, and my parents' generation, Gen X, we're going to see very quickly that technology is going to overtake us in our knowledge, right? So uh, digital literacy, and not being too afraid, to be honest, of upcoming technologies like AI, because you're gonna end up in the same trap where the seniors, they felt like they didn't need a computer or smartphone. They got by with what they knew and what they had, and that's true to an extent. But as technology gets integrated into our everyday life, not even education, that spills into work and taxes and all these different daily living. Even menus, you go out to restaurants, it's a QR code, and who knows what's going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. So we don't want to just be biased towards the seniors and grandparents, because it's going to catch up on us as well. So we want to be kind of in the loop of everything, and not be too afraid of integrating in technology. So please be aware of that. Um, the income divide. So again, there's a digital divide due to economic reasons. So lower income households do not have even broadband services. Um, access to Wi-Fi being readily available. So there is a big discussion being said right now as to having Wi-Fi broadband access to be, a public, not so much service, but public need. So kind of like how we have electricity and water, how it's kind of already it's a need to live nowadays. Is a discussion to have it, broadband services, because everything again is just being integrated online, and people are being left behind because they can't afford strong Wi-Fi, or um, and also just affording the correct devices. So every year there's a new device, and within 2 3 years, the tablet or computer that they had may not be supported, or that it everything catches up very quickly, and money is a factor there. So moving on, rural versus urban divide. So again, this is a common problem everywhere, but in the city, of course, you're going to have much more supports for, again, broadband and incomes. But when you go out to neighbor islands, countryside, getting services out there is very difficult. A lot of times they might need satellite dishes to receive Wi-Fi. Uh, and again, you don't have, the infrastructure really. So there's things to think about there, is where you're living, and can we really support education and depend online when there are individuals who are being singled out due to living situations. Here we have health and mobility. Again, this kind of tends to be for more so for the senior side of guardianship, but there are physical limitations, health issues such as poor eyesight, hearing loss, or limited mobility can make using technology more difficult. I do say for seniors, but also, again, we're all aging, but also not just due to aging, but because of, maybe accidents or um, all these different other reasons that, we may not foresee. Um, you may not throughout your life have full access to your limbs due to an accident. You might be in a cast or won't be able to access a computer or tablet in the traditional sense. So there is a physical limitation. And again, there are adaptive devices that we, ATRC, can help provide and teach. And again, kind of introduce people who are having a hard time with their low vision. So something very simple would be kind of on-screen magnification. I'm not sure if it will be able to be seen here, but you can zoom in much further without having that pixelation of your items that you're being read. There's screen readers. There's all sorts of different things out there, but again, we just it's for a different time. We just want people to be aware that they exist for when the time comes, and we can help in any way we can. All right, so that was the digital divide. A lot of information. So we're kind of going into the AI topic right now. So responsible AI use. Artificial intelligence is being integrated everywhere. Just right now, I'm trying to open up our Zoom meeting. We have an AI companion popping up, and there's ways that it can listen in, take notes, summarize what's being said, for an hour presentation or meeting and such. And a lot of times you don't opt in for a lot of these things, so it may already be integrated, and you're not aware that it's being used. So that's always something to be aware of, or try to be aware of. But so this is just kind of a good introduction to artificial intelligence and where it's beginning to be integrated. So evaluating the AI output. So the information that it does give you. So you always want to review and critically assess AI generated content for accuracy and originality. Check fact, look for logical errors, and ensure tone and style are appropriate. So with artificial intelligence, it's basically, I don't want anyone to get kind of too imaginative right now, but everyone's always afraid of AI. Right now, it's just, I would say, just think of it as a tool. It's nothing to be scared of. It's just another tool in a box, and it's as a tool is, it depends on how you'll be using it. So again, these are just ways to be able to use this tool. So usually what happens, it depends, I will say again, with what version or what company's AI you're using. So there's ChatGPT, there's Google Gemini, and I'll have a list in a different slide, kind of naming them all, Microsoft Copilot. So depending on which one you're using, not all will do this, but when you're looking up information and it's giving you results, a lot of times it will cite where it got that answer from. So whether it be from an official website or and such, it will give you a link. So whatever it's going to post for you, you can click on that link and always verify where the resource is. Okay. And also another question that kind of frequently asked question that comes up is AI training. So a lot of times the artificial intelligence is trained on certain models and information before it hits the general public. I will say it's difficult to know. Some companies will kind of release the information on how technology is trained. So what resources they're kind of feeding the AI, and how it's getting its information. So you can always look up their websites, again, Google Gemini, in Microsoft Copilot just needs to come in mind and kind of do your due diligence and research, how it is that these engineers are training these models. Okay, so we have artificial intelligence and responsibilities. So you want to use AI tools safely and responsibly, following school and department rules. So again, Department of Education, they do have a policy, I believe. Let's see here. I have something out here that I'll provide as well for everyone. So it's kind of the kind of guidance for responsible AI use. So there are policies on how you want to be using these artificial intelligence tools. So again, same as the internet when it first came out. It's this new tool, kind of scary. All this information is out there. How is everything? How are students are going to use this? That was a big topic for when I was going to school. And again, we're just seeing it again with AI. So we just want to be able to integrate it very smoothly and don't want it to kind of use it for harm. So avoid using AI for illegal activities, creating inappropriate content or harming others. Does need to be said because again, people kind of get creative and just kind of wander off and how they use these technologies. But again, same like the internet. All right. Number 3, bias and misinformation. So again, be aware of potential biases or inaccuracies in AI-generated content. Verify results using trusted sources before using in academic work. So again, like I mentioned, these AI tools, for the most part, will cite the information, website links and such, where they are getting it. So make sure you review that. And again, you can go to their websites and kind of, if it's being released, see how engineers are training this content. So you just kind of ask everyone to do their due diligence and be aware before having a student use these devices. All right, and the ethical use of AI. So again, AI tools can be used as tutors, studying guide assistants, but should not be used to complete exams or quizzes unless explicitly stated. So this is a problem that's actually happening quite a bit. The later half, where you use it to complete exams or quizzes. Maybe it might be a take-home test or an online quiz where people can jot down questions and answer it through AI. So definitely that's a breach. You don't want to do that. For the most part, schools are pretty good at either having a student share their screen or do a screen recording or have a camera over their shoulder so you can see that they're not, only using a AI on their computer, but maybe on their phone, right? You can't see it, but maybe they have it down underneath their desk and they're using something. So there are different options on how you want to kind of still be aware of how students are trying to get around in using these tools during quizzes and exams. But as a tool, it can be used as a tutor. And again, that's a good thing that we're seeing as well. So again, you can give AI information, train it on texts and handouts and such, and you can use it and to make a summary or make questions cards and such, or just I know someone now is able to, I forget what the website they use, but they were able to actually turn that information into a podcast. So students were able to get a chapter from a textbook, summarize it, make it into a podcast, and then when on their way to and from school, they will listen to it and use it as a teaching device. Because again, it's just the textbook information. All right, plagiarism. So using AI to generate answers or complete assignments without proper citation is considered plagiarism. Be transparent about your use of AI and cite any AI generated content appropriately. And again, this just goes back to, if it is available, I do highly recommend using the AI that does in fact cite its information. I would say Microsoft Copilot is going to be the one that will cite its information for sure. And these are some examples of AI tools. So again, everyone's kind of more so in the know of ChatGPT nowadays. So please be aware of that. So it is a small description of it as well. So used for writing assistance, generating ideas, answering questions. Grammarly does have AI now. So again, it's used for spell checking and helping enhancing your writing. Skip over to Google Gemini. I said that quite a bit. Again, for research, information gathering. The other one, Tutor AI, answering academic queries. Canva has its own AI, so there's a lot there. Again, we can look up these different AI tools and what their research model is and how they're being trained. I do want to go back to this slide, kind of not just talking about the students, but there's a discussion now because again, for exams and quizzes, students are using it to answer, but it goes both ways because we're seeing now there are professors and teachers who are using AI to generate quizzes and exams, and now the students are using it to being answered. So there's this whole discussion of, we have AI generating questions and AI answering it. It's basically AI speaking to AI or teaching AI. So we do want to be aware of teachers and how they are generating their handouts and their quizzes as well. And the way that the teacher was caught was that there was they usually copy and paste the generated response of the AI, but they also included the questions and prompts. So again, you'll have you prompt the AI. Usually, you'll ask it to either expand or summarize its content, and some prompts were copied and pasted in that. So, so parents, you might want to check the handouts as well and see how it's being generated. Okay, so that was for AI. And I do kind of want to talk about, before I move on to our useful apps, I've been saying Microsoft Copilot quite a bit. So this is here, it's kind of integrated already into my web browser. I'm using Microsoft Edge. And this is what it is. It's basically this icon up here. Again, this kind of rainbow icon. And you'll see it integrated in different areas. And if you click on it, it will redirect you to its website. And you can give it prompts here. If you were to keep it within this website here, so if I click it here, it's here within Microsoft Edge. And if I were to go to, say, this is how I tend to use it quite a bit, is I'll use it within the web browser. And there's multiple ways on how to use AI. So if I were to look up something here, so I can start, it will give you prompts, but I can just ask it whatever's on my screen. So if this was a PDF or anything like that, I could just ask it, again, in the bottom corner here, like what am I looking at? Like what website am I on? And already just gave me all that information and summarization. So it automatically knows that you're looking at a detailed Wikipedia article about Hawaii. And here's some general information, location, capital. So again, here I kind of have to dig in within the website where all this information is, but it'll give me a summarization. And from here, I could ask it to either summarize, I can ask it to expand on, a certain topic like culture or economy. And it's just all different prompts. So when using AI, the thing you want to think about is kind of giving it direction. So think of it as an actor and what kind of mindset you want it to be in. So you can ask it to, be a teacher and, give me a lesson on this such. So you want to give it a prompt of oh no, okay, I'm a teacher, and this is how I would give this information. Or you can let's see here. So this is for an article, but you can also do it for YouTube. I won't do it here now because you don't know what might pop up here. But for a lot of things, you can look up videos, and while that video is being played, you can ask it, what is this video about? And it will watch the whole video and, within seconds, give you a summary of what's going on. But also, what you can also do here is, as a AI presentation here, just kind of keeping in brand. So this first part, I kind of created this first half or the AI part of my presentation with AI. So it is able to make a PowerPoint. So I kind of mentioned this kind of AI policy that was created. So it's something like this. I can upload, move this aside, hit this plus sign, upload from this device. So here I have my form. I can upload to here. There we go. So again, it's generating and reading the content. And even though it's a PDF file, it was still able to read it. So AI guidance for students, and it can summarizes everything for me, all the different policies. But what can be done further here is I can ask it to make a PowerPoint. So I can say, make a PowerPoint presentation. Let's minimize this here. Okay, there you go. And it's created a PowerPoint for me, so I can open that up. Let's see if I want to. All right, so I downloaded it here. Open the file. I'm gonna get onto my desktop. And it's created its own PowerPoint very quickly with just those bullet points that it had there. So again, you can have that there, but then further from that, there's an option in Designer, or sorry, PowerPoint. If I go to Designer here, and it will do the created side of things for me. So I can create, what this slide is going to look like. So it does, all this work does take quite a while, usually, but with AI, it's just kind of generated for you there. And it's going to be much more professional. And that usually takes quite a bit, and you can edit it, change what you want. But again, this is a tool. So you do want students to know how PowerPoint works and such, but for individuals with disabilities, students with learning differences, this is a tool that can very, very much even the playing field, because, it does take quite a lot of work to create something like this. But for those individuals who need it, ADHD and such, it does create, less barrier to entry in creating slides, PowerPoints, information, because they still need to know what they're talking about. It's not just copying and pasting, it's cited work and such. So a lot of things to think about there in the AI realm. So a lot of people are excited, a lot of people are scared. Kind of decide where you fall within those in that realm that I just kind of shared what Copilot can do. But again, we're not here to make everyone worried. It's just to kind of let you know that it's being a tool. It's just to use it as a tool, and to even the playing field for, again, individuals with disabilities. So that's our AI tools. I'll kind of go straight into the next topic, which is some useful apps and softwares for individuals with learning differences. So this one here is called Got It. It's spelled G-H-O-T-I-T. It's basically a spell checker, kind of like Grammarly, but it's created for those with dyslexia in mind. So it's spelled G-H-O-T-I-T because the creator of it, their son had dyslexia. And so he created this kind of software. So this here, you see, it's bigger. This is what it looks like when you open it up. And like a spell checker, you can just do your work in Microsoft Word or Google Docs and paste it here. And with this button here, it will do text to speech and read out to you what's going on. And again, your spell checker. So this is kind of an example of Microsoft Word's their built-in spell checker. So it says here, in the office, Joseph felt like he was safe and welcome. Whenever he had a problem, he felt that he could reach out to his colleagues and speak his mind. Because of this, Joseph ended up working with the company for quite some time. So with this, you kind of already heard some mistakes, but Microsoft Word spell checker only caught because as a incorrect word because it's misspelled. Colleges here did not catch that. So that's why we do have the text to speech. So the individual can hear it being read and can say, that's not what I wanted to say. That's not the word that I wanted, even though it's spelled correctly. But with the spell checker, when you put that same text in Got It, it caught 3 problems, not just because. And then if you were to kind of hover over, this is a still image, so I won't show it, but it will give you the reasons why it was highlighted. So it would probably say like, I needed a comma after, a certain clause. And then colleges, because it read my text and it knew that maybe I wanted to say colleagues, but even though I spelled colleges right, I wanted to say the word colleagues. But to me, I have dyslexia. It looks correct, but it's not, phonetically the thing that I wanted to say. So it will capture that. And if you click over it, it will just insert the correct changes for you. So it will put a comma, it will change colleges, colleagues, and because will be spelled correctly. And this is kind of an example of that here. When you go hover over these underlines, it gives you options of what you're trying to say and definitions as well. And below here is going to be the text to speech. So it'll highlight the sentence being read, and in yellow will be the word. So you can follow along with what's being said. And again, you can just hear what you're typing out, because a lot of times, it's kind of like peer review, right? You have someone else to read your information and edit, but maybe a lot of times you don't have that option there for you. So here you can do it yourself with having Got It. iPhone and iPad. So again, with assistive technology, there's so much different things. iPhones and iPads are falling into it now. In the settings, it has its own accessibility features that your computer has as well. So again, I don't have my iPad with me, but if I'm using a Mac here, if I were to go into system settings And right here underneath general, I have accessibility, and you have all our options. So you have things for Zoom, and that's just me again zooming in like that. Spoken content, that's our text to speech, live captions, those with motor difficulties. So there's a lot of different options. And again, we won't go into everything here, but just kind of be aware that this is where it's at, and it's going to change within your tablets and phones as well. If I did live captions, it would caption out everything that's being said, like subtitles. Just give it a moment to boot up. So at the bottom here, it'll be there. And if I start talking, it will start captioning out what I'm saying live. So that's an option for everyone, for those who are, hearing impaired and are able to read along. I'll turn that off here. And again, some accessibility features. So this here, I'm in Microsoft Word right now, but if I'm in Safari, which is Apple's web browser, I can go to the top here, and we have this kind of double line. I have a reader option, and that will get rid of all of the kind of clutter, right? There might be a website that has a lot of advertisements and such, or just kind of distracting for those who, may have attention deficit disorders. So it will just kind of streamline the content. And from here, you can highlight, right click, and start speaking here.
Hawaii consists of 137 volcanic islands that comprise almost the entire Hawaiian archipelago.
So I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear that through a screen recording, but it was starting to read for me. And within my accessibility features, I can have it to where it highlights words as it reads along. So a lot of different options there for accessibility. I'll hide that for now. And again, the speech option is something that you have to activate when you right click. You may not always have speech there. It's because you have to go in your system settings to create that. Sorry, lost my slides. 1 moment. There we go. So there are a lot of apps out there. Let's see here. And again, this is all going to change depending on what brand you're using. So Apple versus Google versus Android, Microsoft. They're not streamlined. So not all the software and apps are not going to be the same everywhere. But for the most part, if you just need like a text-to-speech or certain things for dyslexia or even speech, there are different apps that are out there, and I'll include that in the files as well. We'll have a app wheel that kind of can have you kind of digest what problems a student's having, whether it be writing or reading. And if it's writing skills or supports, mind mapping, it will give you a list of apps for that. So I'll provide that as well for you. And then kind of finishing up here, this slide. So we do have Kidogo Plus. So this is something that can change the keyboard on an app, mostly for smartphones and tablets. So this one here will kind of change it for those, again, who needs that color contrast, but again, it kind of highlights my vowels versus the consonants and kind of gives me action buttons here. And also the word prediction is up there for me as well. And then the fonts, so you can change the fonts with Kidogo Plus, but also I know a lot of websites and computers support this font now. It's called Open Dyslexic, and it's described as a weighted font, meaning it's kind of more kind of bolded at the bottoms of letters, so you can kind of decipher if you're looking at a B, D, Q, R, So it has that weightedness to it that is meant to be easier for those with dyslexia to read. And again, these are just different kinds of ways you can keep it simple or much more vibrant. And again, the built-in accessibility features I kind of shortly went over with the live captions and hearing. So these are all different things that are available to you. If you want more information, if you are to go to, let's say, apple.com. So this is apple.com. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, everyone kind of ignores these footers here, but there's a section here for accessibility. You can go down here, click on that, and it will have an overview of all those different options. So hearing, what can you do with your AirPods, screen readers, and you can just scroll down and look at all those different informations there, and it will have much more in-depth, depending on what you need. So again, you have categories here: your needs, blindness, low vision, motion sensitivity, limbs, all this. So again, this is meant for another time, but if anyone's, of course, interested, they can contact myself, ATRC, and schedule a time to kind of just hear or consult what can benefit a student. And here is my contact information. Again, a lot of times I might be out doing presentations or seeing clients as well. Again, we service the whole state, so please call to schedule an appointment. We don't want you to walk in and not be able to be serviced, so please do that. At this time, usually I'll give, there's a lot of information. I don't expect everyone to remember everything and know it all, but again, feel free to contact me with any questions for the future. And that is all. I'll also, again, we'll be sharing all the documents that I kind of mentioned here with our apps for reading and writing difficulties. And again, I just want to thank SPIN for providing, doing what they do and providing the conference and all these different workshops for individuals who need it. All right. Thank you very much. Aloha.